Hey guys, this is Devin with the Detail Boss.
And this is Tavian with the Detail Boss. Today we're really just on here to kind of tell you the journey on how we got to the point we're at right now and the struggles and all that good stuff that goes into owning a business. So we're going to start off so we started this business back last year in March. Me and my brother, I just came back home from college and we just got there and we just brainstorming on how can we make money and be our own boss. And one of the top things we look on Google is best side hustles to do is detailing. So we really just got into it. I've never messed with vehicles before. I don't know anything about cars. That's still to this day, I'm still learning. But we kind of really just got into it, went home, looked up some products, went to Walmart, spent like $300 on some stuff, went home, and the first car we ever did was my aunt's car. And we were out there for about 6 hours, but we didn't know there was really a need for it. And we didn't know we could actually make money. But once we went out there, our aunt paid us. And from that day on, we just did family, friends, all that good stuff. Just hit the ballpark of it, make sure when we got to random people, like random clients and all that we could be ready to give them what they need. So that's kind of how we really started. And what do you think, how was the start for you?
So the start for me basically is I dropped out of college. I went there to play football and dropped out of college. I didn't really like it and I didn't want to be that far away from home. So I got home and everybody in my family was telling me I need to get a job, this and that. So I got this job at a factory. I didn't really like it. I had to wake up at 4 and got off at 1:30, and it wasn't for me. And so therefore my brother was moving back down from Oklahoma City, and we just talked to each other, and I was like, hey man, I don't want to work under nobody anymore. I want to start a business. So he was like, all right, I agree. He's like, I can help you with that. So we did a bunch of research. It took us about 3 or 4 days to do research, and we figured out what we wanted to do. And then, like he said, we went to Walmart and got chemicals. And really, we just started and just grinded until, we are here where we're at.
And really the hardest part of starting any business, of course, is getting the customers. And kind of how we did it, our main source was Facebook. What we really did was just before and after pictures. Then I got to a point where, because I had previous marketing experience, so I found out how to start getting more interactive, learn how to do ads, place ads, make sure your ads are doing the same kind of return goals. So kind of what we did, we would run, how we first started before we got big in the summer is we'd spend $10 a week on ads. So that $10 was making me and him like $300 a week, right? And then after we grew from that, we went to $25 a week. That was making us about $600 a week. And you kind of get to it, and like towards the end of the summer, we were probably spending ballpark between like $500 to $800 in ads. Sorry about that, guys. We had a customer come in. But kind of back to what I was saying was towards the end of last summer, we were hitting probably $600 to $800 a week on ads. And what that was kind of bringing in was ballpark maybe around $6,000, $7,000, just depending on weeks. Obviously, it depends on weather. Because last time we were completely just mobile. So, I mean, that's just kind of where you have to take the risk on what you're going to spend and know that's when you have to be smart, make sure you have all your numbers lined up. That way, you know what you're returning on profit. You got to pay your employees and all that good stuff. And how was your experience over the summer?
Really over the summer, it was kind of difficult just getting started just because we started with some chemicals and those chemicals were just making the process a whole lot longer. But once we started doing research and started figuring out new things, new equipment and stuff like that, our detailings got faster and it was more quality and it was just all around starting to get better and better. And as we progressed to where we are now, it just got a million times better. So really that's how the process went, and yeah.
So really one things we had to learn real quick is that we didn't understand, even though a lot of people are telling us we didn't understand because we were kind of new to the industry and we were getting more cars. We didn't understand that like going to like a bulk amount of chemicals, that's the first thing I had to learn about. If you do get in this industry or anything you do, there's always a cheaper way to do things. So the first thing I learned is quit going to Walmart buy products, because that was like killing us. We were spending maybe $400 a week on chemicals versus now we probably spend a little bit over that, just depending on what we need that month and what we use and the amount of cars we do. We probably spend $1,000 a month versus what, like in this last summer, we were doing probably $2,000, a little bit over $2,000 a month just in chemicals, and that's just one of the learning curves we had to get over to make sure our profits were returning the way it was. And another thing that the hardest thing is really just scheduling, because when you're doing it, you don't understand that your employees. So kind of how we started off, the first 2 months, right? Me and my brother, we were solo. So we were just knocking out cars, probably doing about ballpark, just starting about 15, probably 15, max 20 a week. And that was us working like 8 a.m. to nighttime, sun up, sun down type thing. But once we got into our second month, probably second week of May, somewhere in there, we hired our first 2 employees. And once we got that, it kind of just, you learn a lot of stuff with having employees because you have to, it's hard to make employees give you what your results you want. Because employees are just there to get the 9 to 5, get the money type thing. But in detailing, you can't do that because that can ruin your reputation real quick. So that's really the hardest part, is getting them to know, like, hey, I need you to do this just as good as I would do it. And also working in the sun, like working mobile is already hard in itself. And then getting employees to do it for you for, like, we're paying them ballpark around $500 to $700 a week. So to them, it might sound like good money, but when you're working in the sun like that all day for 10, 11 hours a day, and the money at the end of the day kind of don't feel worth it, but then it is really what it is.
And I agree with some things you said, most of the things, all of the things you said, my fault. But another thing with detailing.
Stop this.
Stop. Sorry guys, I agree with everything he said, but I have my opinions on some things too. Along with the detailing in like the summer, how we got started and stuff, the real main challenge we had to face was when we would wash cars and hit windows on cars and stuff like that. The sun was so hot and beaming, so it was hard to dry cars without leaving streak marks and stuff like that, and along with the windows too. So I mean, we had to overcome some of those big challenges to now where we could have our shop and stuff and hit windows peacefully inside without having to worry about smudges and stuff like that. So it was just the sun was the biggest problem in my opinion on mobile detailing.
But really, the whole process and how we kind of got here, there's a lot of hard work that goes into it, being a business owner, that a lot of people don't see the outside part of it. Because when, like, for example, our employees see at the end of the week when we're bringing in ball amount, we might make $6,000, but we got to pay our 2 to 4 employees. You got to pay them $500-$600 a piece, depending on what they make that week and all that good stuff. But then you have to think about, you have to factor in the gas. You got to factor in, like, when we have to stop at gas stations, because we would always buy our employee stuff, sometimes just depending on obviously how many stops we're making and all that. So really just, there's a lot of stuff that a lot of people don't see from the outside, which you have to go into stress, not knowing if that appointment's going to call. Because there'll be days that we were supposed to make $1,500, but 4 people cancel. Now you have a day you're only making $300, and $300 isn't enough to pay all 5 employees. So there's a lot of obstacles you got to do. And sometimes you just have to eat the bullet, because if you have your employees out, you got to pay them. You can't make them come to work and drive, because at this time we were in Fort Gibson, so we were driving to Tulsa almost every day, which is about an hour drive, just depending what town and where we're at in town. So really, that's really the stuff that people don't see, is the outside part of it, because they just think the business owners make all the money. At the end of the day, it's just the money we make isn't even close to the amount of work you have to put in. But over the summer, we probably did ballpark probably around like 500 to 600 cars. And the only reason for that is because after our second month, we hired 2 employees. They ended up didn't liking the job, so I hired another 2 employees. And after that, there was probably about 5 or 6 of us on a team. And we were knocking out probably 10 cars a day, which obviously just depends on the services. Like if it's interior only, full details, whatever it may be, we're hitting 5 to 10 cars a day. So that kind of like, that's where we got all of our quality from. We grew as detailers. We're still learning to this day, but now we're professional detailers. We know how to do stuff more efficient and stuff like that. So that really got us to the point where we're at right now. So we got a shop back in October, like mid-October, and the shop, obviously, we got it in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, and we got it right off the highway, so it's an expensive property. We got it, I think, for $483,000. So obviously, we don't have that type of money. So kind of how we did that, we went out, found an investor, found someone that would believe in us and do all that, talked to him, kind of pitched him our idea. It was kind of like a little mini Shark Tank type thing. So we ended up talking to him. Obviously, you got to share as part of the business as part of it. So we ended up negotiating, getting all the numbers down right, all that. We ended up getting the shop for probably, we got it for about 400. It was something, high 400s. Anyways, we got here, we took the gamble on ourselves. And one of the hardest things, everybody wants the shop, everybody wants the location. It's not all pretty. And there's a lot of stuff that goes in with getting overhead. Because in the summer, if we had a bad week, right? So if there's a week where it's supposed to storm all week and we don't work all week, but we made all the money the week before, we still have money. We're not losing money because we have no overhead. All your overhead doing mobile comes from going mobile. Versus here, so we started this shop, like I said, in October, so we're hitting winter months. So we had ice storms, snow, rain, And the days that cars don't want to come in because who would want to get their car washed and go out and then get on the salty roads or rain and all that. So the hard thing about that is if we have weeks without cars, we still got to come up with our rent at the end of the month, which our bills here accumulate up to. It just depends on the month and all that. So you're probably looking at ballpark around $5,000 to $8,000 a month, sometimes 10, just depending on, like I said, the amount of cars, the chemicals, and whatever else we need. So taking that kind of gamble is scary, but also it's worth it at the end of the day because you just got to put your mind to it. Anything is possible at that point. It's just really about sometimes you got to sacrifice because we live in Fort Gibson, so there is days where we also bought air mattresses for the shop and stuff. There is days where you have to sacrifice and you have to stay in the shop, and there's just stuff you got to do. It's just part of being an owner, and you just got to go do it. And what's kind of your experience being in the shop?
Being in the shop so far has its ups and downs for me. So basically, like the ups and the perks about it is like you're here in an environment where there's not really that many struggles inside the shop. Like you're business owners, and matter of fact, me and my family, so we're gonna have bite each other's heads off every now and then. But in the shop, it's just like good, and like he said, it's not as peaceful as everybody makes it out to be and might be. It's really a struggle sometimes whenever we have bad weather or deal with bad weather, just because the bills and the money ain't coming in as we want it to. So on that aspect, we manifest things, and we believe if you manifest it, it will come to you, and that's what we try to do. We all try to keep positive attitudes and positive vibes, and yes, there's days we argue and butt heads, but again, it's just like being in a close environment with like your friends, your family, all your close ones, and be able to work with them and tell jokes and stuff like that, and just have a good time is really what the shop is all about for me. Like it makes me genuinely happy to have this connection with all my workers, which is family and all that. So it's been good for me, honestly.
So again, probably some of the pros and cons of having a shop. Obviously, the biggest con is having overhead. The pros of having it is that we can be more efficient. So here we can kind of have versus mobile, you have to go to appointments. So you kind of tell in the morning we know at 8:30 we're gonna be here, and at 10:30 we have to be all the way in Glenpool, whatever time we need to be in. So that's kind of mobile is. So here at the shop we can have obviously all around Tulsa come here. It just really depends. Really, every county uses us and stuff like that. Really, kind of the process we do here now is every car drops off. We try to get them here between 8 a.m. to about 10 a.m. and we usually just keep all 4 or 5 cars that we do that day, and we'll have them all ready by 5 p.m. that afternoon. So that's the nice part. It's kind of when the cars are here, you can kind of look at them all and just come up with a better game plan, and you're all in one location, and you're able to bring a lot more money in because you obviously have a location so you can do night details. There's a lot more benefits on that side of it. But like I said, the biggest con is just having overhead, and you don't get days off. You have to make money meet at the end of the day because you have to pay your shop bills and all that, but you also got to eat too. So it's just one of those things you have to sacrifice, and it comes with a lot, but it comes with a lot of blessings as well. So, but what do you think some of the struggles are for you? What kind of cons, what pros, what do you think?
Some of the cons is again the weather. And weather's always gonna depend on your business. Like so, say we have a snowy day. Like February was probably one of our slowest months just because we had a snowstorm up here. Then for the other 2 weeks of February, it was raining and thunderstorming, and people didn't want to get their cars clean just to get back in it. And then another thing was February is a short month as well. So I mean, there's things we got to deal with on the outside of detailing and stuff. But some of the pros is that, like you said, we're all in a close shop, and it's more efficient for us to get cars out. And another thing is if we're working all day, customers will trust us more now to keep their cars overnight. Whether when we're mobile detailing and it's dark and we can't see nothing anymore, then we'd have to leave and come back. But here in the shop, we got lights in the shop, so we'll be able to see, and we'll keep the car in the mornings, so that way we can do touch-ups in the sunlight and stuff like that. So that's another great thing and the blessing that the shop provides us too as well.
So really, the journey at the end of the day is we started last year in March, went through the struggles of mobile. That has all of its ups and downs in it. We moved to the shop here about 6 months ago. And really, it's all been good. It's just one of those things that you just have to get out there and grind. We learn real quick. Nothing's going to be given to you. You have to work for everything you want. And it's just one of those things that you have to just, when the times get hard, you just got to keep on grinding. And now we'll answer a couple questions.
Basically, what made me want to start this business is I dropped out of college, and I came home and worked a factory job, and I really didn't want to work under nobody anymore. And I found a passion. I used to detail my car previously before that, but not like high tech like I am now. And basically, that's all I wanted to do. It's own my own business, not working under nobody.
So I come from a bigger job up in the city. I was working for a trucking company doing sales recruiting, doing a little bit of marketing, and a couple other little things I was doing up there. And really, I just got tired of working under somebody. So I moved back home from the city. We game planned. I brought the attention to Devin. It was like, hey, what if we did this? Because it is one of the top 50 side hustles, as I said earlier in the video. And that's kind of how it really started. Did that, went and got some products, and we're here where we are now. The first thing, our first real customer came from just family and friends and just getting reviews from them and then just posting consistently on Facebook. And that's kind of how we really did it.
Really, it's just button heads. You both disagree on stuff and you both agree on stuff, and then just like the tone you talk to somebody is because really we both share the same amount of ownership of the business, so we butt heads sometimes about who does this and who does that, and really it's just, yeah, that's it for me.
Communication. That's what you need. If you work with family, if you don't have communication, it will not work. I promise.
Amen. Preach, brother, preach.
Okay. Yeah, that's about it for that one.
Really just, I forgot the word for it.
So really, I would say the biggest obstacle for first part of it is our communication, but really just getting over the hump of like knowing the sacrifices we have to do for the business. Because at first we didn't really understand that being your own boss, you think you can just work at 1 p.m., make $100 and just be good. Hey, I made $100 a day, whatever it may be. The obstacle was you have to be responsible, very responsible for who you are and all that. So you got to wake yourself up. You have to book appointments. Even the weeks you don't feel like working and you have 30 cars booked up, you have to show up to work. You don't have an option. When we're sick, it doesn't matter. We have to do our cars. You have a responsibility and you got to hold it to yourself. That's the biggest obstacle to come over, is hold yourself accountable.
I don't agree with one thing he said is when you're sick, I feel like you should be able to rest and give your body some rest, because there's certain sicknesses where you cannot work in, and that's false. That's all I got to say. Next question.
We're just like that. If you can walk, you put a mask over your face and your hands can move, you can detail.
I agree. I don't agree with that, because if you're sick, you're wearing out your body more, so where you can get more sick.
You're just weak-minded.
I'm not weak-minded. I'm strong-minded. I work more than he does. Thank you. Next question.
I don't fake sick though.
I don't either. I have doctor receipts and doctor notes for my shit.
That's what I did in middle school too.
No, you didn't.
You go first? So, number one thing is cons is overhead. Pros is you can be way more efficient. It's more like stability wise, you have something to build and grow on. So people like know your location. Versus mobile, you have to be over like you have to be good on marketing on Google or Facebook or something like that. You have a shop where people are driving by, so you get more organic traffic and stuff like that. So that's definitely another plus. And like I said, just being in one location.
Some pros for me is you have multiple outlets to plug things in, so you have more equipment to use during the time limit. Cons on like having the shop is, like you said, overhead and stuff like that. But that's really it for me.
It was for sure a process.
Long nights, sometimes no sleep, working from dawn up to dawn down to afford the money to get new things and expand and grow. And that's really it for me.
And then another process, that's the beginning of it. And another process was getting employees. Once we started blowing up in the summer on Facebook, was just getting employees in, and like we said earlier in the video, just getting them to do the quality we want, to make them understand like, hey, we're still paying you, but we still need to. It's just tough to get employees to do the quality of work you want to do in detailing, just because detailing is a hard job in itself, and that's really that process of it, and then just the process of just knowing how to do your numbers, margins, and learning how to you have to track all that and stuff like that. So that's really the process. Is after that, it's just repeatable. You just got to be able to keep doing it, keep growing, expanding, make sure numbers are matching. It was good. Like I said, it's hard to get employees to want to work out there in the 100-degree weather for 11 hours a day, 7 days, 6 days a week. So, I mean, the process of getting them, it wasn't a problem about getting them. It was more our problem of keeping them there, just because everybody thinks detailing is easy because all you think is do like cleaning a car and all that. It's way worse than that. You got to be 4 hours inside. The car's all black, the all black leather interior. The sunbeams even harder. Like the job itself is way harder than what people think before they start with us. So that's really the hard part, is like letting them know like it's not easy because you get done with one car and you might be hot, sweaty, but you got to go right to another car and go right back at it again. So it's really just someone enjoying the sun. It's hard to find the right people for the right atmosphere it's in.
I agree with everything he said. Oof. So some of the pros is that you get to go new places, experience new things. Like you get to meet a whole lot of new people, and like when you're out there detailing, sometimes some people go out there and like talk to you, and then like basically see like the reaction. People after they get their cars cleaned, which you see in the shop, but you see more of that reaction when you're at people's houses and you're doing work for people that can't really get out and do stuff. Some cons about it is the weather. You got to deal with the weather. Like one of our mottos was rain or shine, we'll always like come and hit your car whether it's rain or shine. So for a little while we didn't have like a tent, so we're trying our hardest to deal with the rain and storms and stuff. So we'll be closing doors, sent cars, vacuuming, have to rewipe the rain spots down and stuff like that. But we invested in the tent, which became a pro for us, and we're just knocking cars out. So basically inclement weather and the heat really. So basically how we deal with bad weather is now we have the shop, so we'll just pull cars into the shop and wash them in the shop and then keep them in the shop so customers pick them up so they don't get wet. Snow is really just another thing. Snow is if we can get appointments here and if we can make it here ourselves, that's what we do with snow. And then really heat, shop. So everything changed really on that aspect of it when we got the shop. But when it was when we were doing mobile, all those things were harder for us to do because rain. We had to figure out ways to get a tent because we had 2 teams at the time. So one team would hit one and we only had 1 tent. So that was kind of hard to flip-flop between those two. And then another thing is the heat is another bad thing. So other than that, everything else was flowing in pretty good. Go ahead.
So in the next couple of years, definitely our next goal is, because we're already in Broken Arrow, so our next goal is to open a shop this size or a little bit smaller on the other side of Tulsa, just that way. So because we have a lot of people from like Sand Springs and on the other side of Tulsa that have to make like a 25-30 minute drive just to come get a detail and stuff like that. So our plan is within either the next 2 years or 3 years is to get another shop going over there, and obviously just get another shop on that side of town, and obviously expand our mobile team on that side and over on this side.
Along with that too is I would love to see more of like comeback customers, like people getting on a plan and stuff with us, like to get their cars detailed bi-weekly, weekly, or monthly. Really, I would like to see that happen more. That's really what my goal is, to have more repeat customers and get our review status up there as well. Hey guys, thanks for watching the video. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and comment underneath which video you'd like to see next. And make sure to click that bell notification up top to get notifications for our next videos we upload. Thank you.
Thank you.